Hello, and thank you all for being here. My name is Joseph Borders. I am a human factors psychologist, and today I'll be sharing some of the insights we made in the arena of decision skills training. I believe a lot of what I'm going to discuss ties in closely to the previous talks on accelerated expertise and knowledge transfer, so this is great. As an overview, I'm just going to describe why training decision skills is particularly challenging, which has been discussed previously as well, and how conventional training approaches falls short in a number of ways. I'm going to discuss what we mean by tacit knowledge and cognitive skills, and then I'll describe some forms of decision-making exercises, including tactical decision games, as well as shadowbox training. So many organizations rely on conventional training strategies to teach decision skills. One of the ways to think about this is using a storehouse metaphor. So if you think about the trainee as having a mental storehouse with boxes that are full of job relevant skills and knowledge, of course, novices being new to a domain in a task or job are going to lack many of the boxes needed to perform that job at a high level. So conventional training approaches will try to identify which of those boxes the trainee is missing and provide that information using facts, rules, procedures, protocols that are all relevant to the job. And while this can be useful, it may not be enough, especially if one of your training goals is to have the novices in your organization eventually thinking like experts and behaving like experts. And that's because what allows experts to be so effective at overcoming the challenging situations is more than just a mastery of rules and procedures. So in other words, these fail to capture the core components of expertise. So expertise manifests itself in tacit knowledge and cognitive skills as opposed to declarative information. And experts are able to make sense of critical situations and make tough decisions because they're able to prioritize goals and identify relevant information. They can diagnose problems and anticipate future states. And these are all the types of skills that are often missed in conventional training approaches. This tacit knowledge involves recognizing patterns in noisy data, which can also entail discriminating very fine perceptual details that are important. Experienced individuals can gain a sense of what's normal in a situation, which allows them to identify anomalies when they do occur, to detect problems and diagnose what could be happening. They can do all this using very rich and sophisticated mental models, which they use to understand how something works. And they can use these models to understand boundary conditions as well of a system and instances where it might break down. So these are the skills that experts use to make sense of complex and challenging situations, which ultimately would drive their superior decision-making abilities. So decision-making exercises attempt to capture this tacit knowledge to promote what we call cognitive transformation. And in doing this, the training must be able to diagnose gaps in terms of the flaws in one's mental models. And it's going to stress unlearning and restructuring how trainees can make sense of situations. This allows them to make discoveries and restructure those inadequate or flawed beliefs. And in turn, this will promote adaptivity. And so this will allow operators or individuals to size up both routine and novel types of situations. Decision-making exercises can accomplish this by augmenting on-the-job experiences with rich training exercises. And those training exercises are designed to present the trainee with a wide variety of situations, so increasing the number of reps that they're exposed to. This is especially important in domains where abnormal operations might be rare. So process control operators in the oil industry, for example, they don't, especially novice operators, rarely see plants in abnormal states due to just the increased efficiency of modern plants. So decision-making exercises should present those kinds of off-normal situations so they get a chance to practice and learn from those. Secondly, these exercises should include targeted feedback, which has been discussed throughout the day. Allowing the trainee to see how their decisions line up with subject matter experts in their field is extremely important. And in doing this, they can begin to restructure any flawed assumptions and misconceptions that they might have to ultimately build more accurate mental models. So one kind of decision-making exercise that was popularized in the Marine Corps by John Schmidt is tactical decision games. And these exercises allow, or they really use low fidelity maps and graphics to present really highly dynamic scenarios, usually to a group of trainees. So a facilitator typically will start the exercise by describing the rules of the game and designating trainees into their roles. So from there, the trainees will act as though they are players in the scenario, and they'll determine how it will play out ultimately. But the facilitator is really important for curating that scenario around the trainees' actions, and throughout they'll ask them questions to really understand and unpack the decisions that they're making. And the point of this is to reveal any assumptions that the trainees are making, identify any misconceptions, and help them discover those issues over the course of the exercise. So these are very fast-paced and exciting exercises. And while they were originally created for training tactics and military settings, they've been adapted for a variety of other domains, such as firefighting and process control operations as well. Shadowbox is another form of a decision-making exercise, and it's similar to tactical decision games in a few ways. Shadowbox scenarios also present complex, realistic exercises or scenarios using text, graphics, and sometimes videos. But the main difference is that Shadowbox scenarios or Shadowbox training include predetermined decision prompts within the scenario, which typically include a small set of options for the trainee to select or rank. These prompts will not only ask the trainee to select or rank the actions that they would take in a situation, but it also asks them about things like what are their priorities, or what information are they monitoring in the situation, and what are their expectations? So tapping into sort of the cognitive dimension. In addition to making these rankings and selections, the trainees will also be asked to record their rationale. And based on that rationale will be based on what they would do in that situation. And then the trainees get to compare their responses and rationale to the responses from subject matter experts in the field. So these subject matter experts have worked through the scenario and provided their responses to the same decision prompts. And then the final step of the Shadowbox approach involves the trainees articulating any insights that they discovered. So what did the subject matter experts notice in this situation? What did they do? How was it different from mine? So Shadowbox can be delivered in a variety of formats, including paper or on the web using an organization's learning management system, or it can be integrated into simulation training as well. And this training specifically, Shadowbox, was originally designed to bypass the need for a facilitator or a subject matter expert to be present during the training. So it's well suited for independent learning for individuals, but it can also be easily adapted for groups. And some organizations that have subject matter experts and facilitators involved in their training already may wish to facilitate these types of scenarios as well, and that can be effective. An alternative format of Shadowbox targets perceptual skills, and this allows trainees to test their perceptual skills in an interactive setting. So they'll observe a scene unfold, and then they'll practice detecting important cues and recognizing patterns in different kinds of situations. So here they'll watch a critical incident unfold, and then they'll get to use their cursor to identify any cues that are interesting to them by clicking on the video. The software will automatically pause. They'll get to indicate their reactions and their reasoning for identifying that cue, and then they can continue this process until the video ends, and they'll get to see how their cues aligned with the panel of experts that completed the same exercise. But the example that I have here is that is a police officer interacting with a civilian, and the objective of this training was to identify ways that officers can unnecessarily escalate situations. And this training example would would involve the trainee identifying the ways that the officer is doing just that. So when I start this video, and it's a very brief video, I'll make a cue selection as a trainee would to show you what it looks like.
Give me the board now.
So I click on the video, and I clicked right on his finger there. And you can notice that the video would pause. This orange circle appears where I clicked, and then a box appears where I can type in my reasoning, just like that. And in this case, I would potentially write, this officer's pointing aggressively, which is unnecessary at this moment. So this general process occurs, and the software would record the time and the location of these cue selections that I'm making. And when I'm finished with the video, I get to see how closely my responses would align with the panel of experts selections. So in a way, I'm getting to see, what the experts are seeing, and I'm also getting to see their reasons for making those selections. So in a way, I'm getting inside the expert's head. So as we wrap up, I just wanted to show that Shadowbox has been developed and deployed and evaluated in a variety of domains and targeting different kinds of skills. One of the most rigorous evaluations to date was conducted in the military to train warfighters on social cognitive skills that are necessary for managing civilian encounters without creating hostility. We evaluated this over 2 studies with enlisted and commissioned officers. In addition to the high qualitative feedback and reviews from the trainees, there was evidence that over the course of a short training period, the participants' performance, which was measured in this case as matched to the subject matter expert rankings, improved by close to 30% compared to a control group. And in addition to the military, we created and deployed Shadowbox training in a variety of other domains as well, including law enforcement, healthcare, process control operations, child welfare, and firefighting, just to name a few. So in summary, I just wanted to reiterate, decision-making exercises are best suited to facilitate cognitive transformation through experiential training that is really emphasizing the tacit knowledge and cognitive skills that are necessary, which allow people to develop rich and accurate mental models that are crucial for making sense of situations, especially in complex and ambiguous job settings. Tactical decision games and Shadowbox are just 2 forms of decision-making exercises that have been developed and validated in a variety of domains, but there are many other techniques that have been discussed over the course of the webinar today as well. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you for your time. And if you're interested in learning more, discussing more, here's my email. So thank you.